it's been a tricky year for the family, hasn't it? And I think there's been, in a way, they've been humanised because of the cancer diagnosis. And so I think, sadly, probably for the Republican movement, it's not a great year to try and give the royal family a bashing over money. I don't think there's the appetite from the public to kind of have a go at them.
There is a lot of goodwill at the moment. You mentioned earlier about the coronation was, I mean, cast your mind back, it was almost 2 years ago. I'm trying to remember the date of when it was now, 2023.
Yeah.
So, 18 months ago, when you cast your mind back, it was very Charles-centric. It was very much, his party, as you say, almost like a wedding. It was a coronation. It was shaped around his personality.
Yeah.
Looking forward, and there is debate over how much this coronation cost. How do you think Prince William's coronation would look like? Do you think that he would be happy with spending £72 million on a coronation?
I think so. Probably be more then. I mean, it'd be a few more years yet, hopefully. It'd probably be 100 million. Well, fine. I mean, they spend that on rockets, don't they? I mean, what's the... Why don't we just get our priorities right? This is our sovereign, our head of state. We've got to treat it properly, and I think we should. And I think we should have a great event for people to go out. I think we should have parties for it, coronation parties. I mean, I think it's just perfect. And I don't see what the problem is. I remember when the Queen. I'm old enough when our late Queen was crowned, and we had a street party, and we had no money then. We was very poor families in East London, but we enjoyed it. It was a great day. It was a great celebration. We had a day off school. And it was a fantastic event. And I just feel that, William and Catherine on their balcony wearing the crowns, I think it will be a fabulous picture. I think the ceremony at Westminster Abbey might be even shortened a bit, but I don't think that's important. I think the celebration for the nation is important. And worldwide, people look on that and say, when they do it in Britain, they do it properly, and everybody says that. When the English or the British do it, they do it brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long way in the future.
It's a great long way in the future. Yeah,
I think there'll be a lot of goodwill towards them as a couple. But for me, I think what the coronation did for King Charles, and also I think would do for William, is it's a way for them to set out their stall and go, ta-da, this is the kind of monarch that I'm going to be. So with Charles, it was a very kind of diverse congregation in terms of the music that he chose. He's also a man of faith, isn't he?
He is, of course.
And also that huge appreciation of other faiths.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think we see that from William. So for me, that will be quite interesting to see how he engages with the Christian side of things, because he will, of course, go on to be head of the Church of England. But how much will he weave that into his coronation? I think that would be fascinating to see.
I think that's a problem for the future, though. Yeah. I mean,
it's a long way. It's a long way off. But hey, look, that's what we do, isn't it? We kind of have a think about the future.
And I do. I mean, he is, as you say, he's very spiritual. The king. He does. He's always goes to church wherever. Even when he's in Tetbury, when he's in Highgrove, he goes to Tetbury, and he's very spiritual.
Well, I think the £72 million was a bargain. We're talking to Westminster Abbey, where the coronation was held, obviously. Princess of Wales will be holding a carol concert next Friday at Westminster Abbey. We're hoping to attend. It'll be it's Christmas when she holds that carol concert. For me, it kicks off when Christmas is on its way. Front page of the Sun, the weekend. She has invited the families and survivors and people who've been affected by the terrible attacks in Southport. This is a story that we published at the weekend that I don't think they're particularly going to be all over the press when it actually happens. I think there's going to be privacy for them, and we're trying to be as careful as we can, for these families. But you were in Southport, I believe, when the Princess of Wales went to visit them. Can you tell us a little bit about what the atmosphere was like when Kate was there?
Yeah, well, if you think it's been so rare, hasn't it, to see her out in public this year. And we knew that Prince William was going to go to Southport. We knew that privately he was going to meet with the families. And then it was only literally an hour before he was due to arrive that we were told that the Princess was also going to be there. Now, sometimes in this job you have to be a little bit Mystic Meg, and I kind of thought, when we found out the day before that William was going, I did think, do you know what, I wonder whether the Princess will go with him. Because of conversations that I'd had with their team back in the summer, where I'd asked, and there were questions, weren't there, about when the royals would go to Southport, because it was such a horrific tragedy what had happened. And I asked William's team, I was like, so when will he go? And basically they said, look, it's only the right thing that the king goes first, and then it will be decided when Prince William should go. And at the time I'd said, do you think that the princess would go? And it was made very clear to me that they'd felt very personally upset by what had happened. Because if you think, their children are a very similar age to those poor little girls who lost their lives. And look, I think parents up and down the country would have been affected by what had happened. But I think for William and Kate, what they can do, and what we saw on that day, is they can bring attention back to a community that may have felt forgotten. And you go to Southport and you realise that that is still a community that is struggling to come to terms with what happened on that day in the summer. And yeah, I was there in the back garden watching the Prince and Princess chatting to emergency service personnel. We know that Prince William feels that affinity because of his air ambulance work with any of the people who work for the blue light services. And look, you could see etched on their faces kind of the strain, I think, of that visit. It was very emotionally charged. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily surprise me that she's wanted to make this gesture. But in a year where we've heard so little from her, really, we've seen so little of her, I think it's all about those gestures, isn't it?
I get the impression that they would have probably been invited even if the Princess of Wales hadn't made that trip to Southport. But it's so special that she has actually gone out of her way to get them there. What do you think this says about the Princess of Wales, how she is now? What do you think it means that she's able to reach out and bring people from around the country to attend her special day?
Well, I think Rihanna said, I think, this affected all of us. And I mean, as a mother of children the same age, she was probably desperately sorry for what happened to those poor children. And, I'm not surprised that she went. And she does make efforts at certain things. I mean, she was at the Cenotaph recently, and the night before she was at the Albert Hall. So she's making a massive effort to come back. But, obviously, William says, she wants to be really over it all before she starts back doing engagements again, because, they'll be doing this for the rest of their life. And it's better she gets really fit. But, I mean, she's coming in, she's involved with the visit of the Qataris next week. And, she's going to some of the events, but not all of them. And that's because she's got to pace herself. She's probably still not got the energy and still got the strength that she needs to carry on a full programme. But that concert's pretty special. I mean, that is a really moving time, Christmas time. Those children, oh God, they won't be there for Father Christmas this year. And she must be, she's a great woman. She's done the right thing. And I hope the families enjoy the concert. I really do, because it is a special occasion. Yeah,
really looking forward to it. Have you seen any kind of change in the royal family this year regarding the fact that the Princess of Wales has invited these people from Southport? This can be quite a high-profile story. Have you seen any kind of change in the way that they have behaved to the public, or have they been more kind of empathetic and sympathetic to people?
I just think it's been a really interesting year where they've made it clearer than ever, like the causes that they really want to focus on. And when we were in South Africa, Prince William very clearly made the point. He's going to do royal with a small r, and he wants to do stuff that's going to have impact. So this year for him, of course, it's been about homelessness, mental health. For Catherine, for the things that she has done, it's still continued to be about early years and the family. For Queen Camilla, it's been about domestic violence. And for the King, look, he spent his birthday talking about food waste and food poverty. And for me, I just see this as a really interesting step change almost for the royal family. It's no longer ribbon cutting or plaque unveiling. It's about making impact on some really... I know. Honestly, I know.
It is true, though. We can now see that there is actually impact, particularly the coronation food project. He wasn't cutting a ribbon to a supermarket. He was actually using his birthday and his coronation to have this horrible word impact.